Hi, everyone. I'm live. I am Stephen for a reason, and this is the RCN Show, episode 71. I can't believe we're at 71 episodes so far. It's been going great. I've just thoroughly loved and enjoyed sharing the stories of our guests, having conversations. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate the feedback, the ah, great response that I get on a weekly basis as we do these shows. 71, I can't get over that. Today is May 29th, 2024. And just like those other episodes, we have a fantastic guest today, a fantastic story, an entrepreneur, a mother, so much more to get into. I can't wait. And we're going to get to it right away. Um, First thing I wanted to mention is thank you to the Silver Heights Restaurant. Thank you, Tony, for being a guest on the show last time. As you know, if you watched the video, if you didn't, Tony is my family. He is my cousin. He's also Tony and JC are the current owners of the Silver Heights Restaurant. Been around for 65 years. It's our family legacy, and they're sponsoring my show, the RCN Show, moving forward. And if you want to have a fantastic meal, or you want to go to a lounge restaurant where everyone knows your name, just like Cheers, check them out at 2169 Portage Avenue, the Silver Heights Restaurant, Bar, and Lounge. I encourage you to do so. And thanks, guys, for sponsoring the show. Okay. As I mentioned, we're going to get our guest on here right away. We're not going to waste any more time. Our guest today is Helen Salako, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that name correctly, and if not, I'm sure she'll correct me right away. She is the owner of Ozanna Event Rentals and Event Management. Very interesting tie-in here because, you have planners, you have coordinators, you have management, and you have rentals. And that's just what you need for different events. And as a chef, as a background in event coordinating and management myself, that's a big deal. And when you do hold events and you have something very special in mind and planned, taking all that stress off your families and your plate is huge. And I can't wait to talk a little bit more. No further ado, Helen, are you ready? She's ready.
Yes.
Hi, Helen.
Hello.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Yes, you did.
All right. That's amazing. All right. So Helen Salako, the owner of Ozanna Event Rentals and Event Management.
Mhm.
Your website is ozanna.ca. You can contact Helen directly at helen@ozannaeventrentals.com. Thanks for coming on here today, Helen. I know we got quite excited last week sitting in my office talking about it.
Yeah.
And before we get into your rental business and event management business, you've got so many businesses, but we're focusing primarily on this one. And one more, we're also going to talk a little bit about your foundation today, if that's okay.
Yeah.
But I am compelled to share your story first.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of a background of Helen, where you came from, where and what you did to get you to where you are today?
Mhm. Yes. I migrated from Liberia. I am a refugee to Canada. Um, My mom helped us with everything. She was a very strong woman during the war. So she got us to migrate from country to countries. And finally, we got some papers and we landed in Canada. We were approved to be here. The Canadian government saw us and decided to bring us to Canada. And it was a very tough time back then as a young girl,
I
as
bet.
a teenager, but it has been a great experience moving to Canada, and it has opened so many different doors, and I do appreciate that every day of my life.
That's
And
amazing. Like that just there. So you were in a war-torn country,
mhm,
and then you migrated to get out of that war zone to different countries. What other countries did you go to?
Well, we had to travel by water, so we went to Ivory Coast. We went to Ghana, and then we stopped in Togo. But then again, then we traveled by air to Nigeria. So we were refugees in Nigeria for a period of time before the government of Canada picked us um,
Amazing.
to come to Canada. Yeah.
And then when you first came to Canada, where did you land in Canada initially?
We came to Toronto.
Oh yeah,
It was a beautiful city, pretty big, confused as to like what was going on here. It was such a
yeah,
huge airport. And I was like, oh MG, like I've never
yeah.
seen anything like that. So it was really, really great.
All right.
The experience was beautiful, yes.
And
And we
was it kind of spring, summer, or was it winter when you first arrived?
It was actually the summertime, July
Okay.
26th. That's when we
You
arrived.
probably got off the airplane and went, "Hey, this isn't so bad. Canada's
That's
not
right.
cold. What is this, right?"
Exactly. And before coming, they were telling us, get a jacket, put on your jacket, it's gonna be so cold. And then we got there, it was like hot. I was like, I don't need this. This is fun. So
Amazing.
it was actually it was a beautiful experience, yeah.
Okay, so now you're in Toronto. You get out of the airport. How did it transition to get you to now in Winnipeg? How did that work?
Oh, well, so we came to Toronto. We missed the flight to Winnipeg because we had to wait for a PR card, a permanent residence card,
Mhm.
after arriving. So they put us in a hotel for the day, and then they gave us good food, pretty much. And then we got on the plane the next day. So the process was already done by the immigration. Back then, I think they called them the ION. I don't know if they still exist because it's been
Sure.
many years ago.
Yeah.
So they did all the process. We had this little white bag with the big name on it, and we were all carrying our own little bags. But so we got in the plane and we came to Winnipeg, and then they put us in another hotel. We stayed there for a week, and then we moved to another place that was like for a month until we found our own space to stay. Yeah.
Okay. So you knew before you came over that you were going to end up in Winnipeg. You knew
Yes.
that coming here. Okay.
Yes.
And did people say, "Oh my gosh, you're going to the center of Canada? It's like one of the windiest and coldest places on the earth." Did they say that to you?
Yes, we did what they call the orientation. So they were just talking about how cold it will be. So my mom went to the market. She was looking for the thickest jacket ever. But remember, this is Africa. You're not going to find that kind of jacket you really need,
Yeah.
right? So she was like,
Yeah.
"Is this okay? Is this okay?" And it was people kept talking about how cold it will be. But when we got here, it was hot, and I was like,
No.
"Oh, okay."
Okay. So you get here when it's hot. What was that first winter like for you? Did you go into a little bit of shock?
Yes, it was. And again, because I was a teenager, so
Yeah.
we quickly adapt,
Yeah.
so it wasn't, to me, it wasn't
Yeah.
so harsh. But the year after, that's when I really experienced the winter. I don't know, maybe because the heat was still in my body the first year,
Oh yeah.
but the year after was when my feet got frozen and I cried. And I was like, oh my
You're not like the teenagers here nowadays. The
God.
teenagers here nowadays, they're wearing slippers in minus
Hmm.
40. Many of them don't even wear jackets. Like it's cool
Yeah.
to be cold, I guess. But
Yeah.
I figured you must have gone through a little bit of shock.
Mhm.
And when I see many people who are from your similar background, and I always wonder and ask myself, what was it like for that first winter? And it's got to be something, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, so you come here now. You're here in Winnipeg and the warm tropics of southern Manitoba and Portage and Maine. You're a teenager. How did you get from a teenager, fast forward, to becoming an entrepreneur and a business owner? What did that look like?
Well, as a young girl growing up, I've experienced hardship. I've experienced poverty. I've experienced a lot, attempted rapes multiple times.
Mhm.
And I've always been fixed on the kind of person I want to grow up to be. I've always decided this is the path I want to follow, and I follow my guidelines as I drew it out with the help of my God. So I wanted to be more than what I have experienced. I always want to be more than what I felt or we felt is normal. I
Right.
always wanted to be something different, someone different who brings value to my community and help out the whole nation as at large, right?
Right.
So I've always like growing up, I was always a little girl that loves negotiating. So every little thing you'll be like, no, what about we do it this way? I think this way is better. And then I had a good eyesight. So basically when you show me something, I am well capable of mimicking it for you. Like I won't do it exactly, but I will produce it and you would be like, oh wow. And sometimes it's way better than what you have shown me. So growing up, I was like, I want to do this, I want to have a business, I want to have children, I want to be married. So I planned all of these things, and as God could do it, they all line up to be exactly what I wanted. And I just want to be a voice. I want to be a voice that help people, and especially vulnerable people, people who doesn't have a voice. I want to be that girl.
It's amazing. And as we start moving this conversation onto your event management and rental business, I think that prelude there, or that comment you just made about being that voice for others, really kind of ties into your event management program, because and as I opened up this conversation with as well, being an event manager, it's different than being just a coordinator and a planner. A manager means you're making sure that these events go seamlessly. You're being that voice for your clients, for the different service providers, and you're keeping the DJs and the bartenders and the staff and your lovely husband and all of his muscles and staff
Mhm.
moving furniture. You're keeping them in line,
Yeah.
right? Like that's your voice. I feel in your event management side of things.
Mhm.
Can you sort of share with me? Is it the management side that you love the most, or is it the planning that you love the most?
Wow. I love both of them.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, as a young girl, I've always like being, you have to do this, you have to do this. So that manager has always been in my blood because, again, I'm the first child of my mom. So I took care of everything, right?
Right.
I always like growing up, my mom had entrusted me with a lot. So I took care of her accounts, my sibling, my sister account, and all of that. So I've always been placed on places that I've got to make decisions, right? So the
Mhm.
management part is one of the ones I love. Okay, let me differentiate it. I don't know. I like the management because then again, in a way, I have control over getting everything in play. Now, the planning part to me is the sweetest part
Mhm.
because I love being active. I love being challenged, and I love going out there and meeting people. So when I'm planning an event, I want to spread my wings wide. I don't
Right.
want to do repetitions. I want to do more newer things as we go. So the planning gives me so much joy. The management is behind closed door basically because I'm just dealing with vendors and
Mhm.
staffs. But the planning, I'm dealing with the family, everyone. If it's a wedding, I'm dealing with because I've had weddings where you have to calm the mother-in-law down. You have to show her that this is how it works. And because I have a background in counseling, it just worked
Wow.
hand in hand with it. It just merged together. So I
Okay, so let me get this straight. You got mommy management and counseling all together in one package to calm the bridezillas and the mother-in-laws down. Is that
yes,
correct?
that's right.
I love that, because you know what? And when you think about events and you think about the anxiety, it doesn't matter what type of event. There's that excitement. There's that excitement and worry and fear going into it. Then it's all hyped up, and all of a sudden, those people sort of they start settling into the event, and
Mhm.
something might go wrong, and whatever. And you, as that counselor in mummy management, I'm gonna keep with the mummy management because I love that. Okay, by the way, you in the mummy management just take control of the situation, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you think that counseling also plays a big role in your event management?
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
Honestly, I really do think it does because why when I was studying counseling, it taught me a lot about personality, people and their behaviors and how to
Right.
be able to calm and move things around people without touching the
Mhm.
trauma part of them, but just making them feel comfortable. So the counseling has really helped me because I went into counseling believing that I would sit in an office and be a
Right.
counselor and just talk to people after. But after doing the counseling, I realized no, I don't think I just want to sit in an office. I want to
Mhm.
meet all kind of people, and every one of us in one part of our life has experienced something. And sometimes it takes a while for us to let go, and especially meeting brides and the mother-in-laws. Mother-in-laws sometimes they be like, well, my family dated like that. It must be like this. And then that's where I come in. I'm like, I understand it has always been done like this. But what do you think if we can try something new?
Wow. Mummy management coming in there, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Helen, is there a particular event that stands out to you as a memory that you've done in the past that you just went, holy cow, that was a crazy wild event?
Wow. Okay, so there's a couple of them, but I'll talk about
Okay.
this first, mommy, and then I'll talk about another one. So there's this wedding I've been planning for over a year,
Yeah.
and the mother-in-law specifically too was more than what she should be, but she always wanted the bride to do things a certain way. And if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not done that way, it's not the culture, it's not approved, and the wedding wasn't going to hold. So the bride, midnight, every time, anytime in the day, my bride would call me and she'd be like, oh, she've changed this. Oh, she've changed that. She changed the venue multiple times. She told the bride to fire me. And a lot of stuff was happening. And so one day I had to sit down with her and I understood where she was coming from because, again, she's African like myself, not the same culture, but we all have similarity in
Okay.
Africa, right? So
Yeah.
I understood where she was coming from, and she explained herself in detail. She said, "Things are not done this way in Africa. Things are like this and like that." And so I carried her along, and I told her, "How about you and I work together? We pass information to each other before making the decision." She said, "Oh, I like that." And then I was like, okay, I've got you. And that's
Yeah.
how we started the planning. So every step we got to, she wants to oppose to that. And I'm like, how about we try it? If we try it and you don't like it, then we can change it. And that's
Ah,
how we started going on
right.
and on step by step. So
So,
the day of the wedding, she had no cake, which she promised to have. So two days before the wedding, the bride called me and said, there is no wedding cake. And I was like, what? And she's like, my mother-in-law said she was gonna have a wedding cake and there is no, can you do something, Helen? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll get someone on that. So I
yeah.
called a couple of my vendor friends and one person got on it and we got her a beautiful wedding cake on the day of. And she was like, thank you so
Wow.
much. So she was really happy. Yes.
You know what? So you just commented there on something that I think is very important, and I think it also must add to the history of how you got to where you're at right now. And as a coordinator and an event manager and planner, you must have an incredible Rolodex of businesses and supporting companies and vendors. First of all, to be able to
Yeah.
pull off a wedding cake in 2 days,
Mhm.
that is a trophy story, right? So that's pretty cool. But I want to ask you this. So
Mhm.
you mentioned that you spent a year planning for that wedding. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. So how does your services work? Is it by the hour? Is it by, does someone pay for you for a year's worth of salary to put together
Mhm.
a wedding? How does that kind of work to a consumer or someone who's interested in putting on an event with you?
So basically, how it starts is that I have three options for planning.
Okay.
We have the option where we take a percentage of your total cost of the budget that you're going to spend on your event.
Hmm.
We have the option where you pay by the hour, but the best one is the flat rate.
Okay.
So that's the third option, which is the options that when I meet brides and I look at their situation and I just determine that I think flat rate would be and suit you best because I want them to have a whole of me, right? I
Right.
don't want it to be where as in they're counting hours, they're stressing out, oh, if I call her, it's gonna go against the hours or
Yeah.
this is this. So I just offer them that flat
Mm.
rate. We talk about the pricing, you're comfortable with that, and we move forward. So
Yeah.
any time in the year, the months, the dates, the weeks to the event, we will always sit down, communicate, get text
Yeah.
messages back and forth, email because you're on that flat rate. So your day is less stressful for you.
Sure. That makes really good sense. And thank you for answering that. Now, as an event planner, every event's different. Like a wedding's different than a bar mitzvah, is different
Mhm.
than, whatever the case may be. You have your own event center.
Yes.
So what does that look like? Is that flexible space? What are the sizes and capacities that you're able to hold at your event center?
So right now, our the event center I'm sitting in right now, this space takes up to 250 guests in my big hall, and where I'm actually sitting is the 100 guest hall.
Okay,
So we can host up to 350 guests, and then we
great.
have a couple of others around the city. We have one in Capitalist Drive that will host up to 60 guests. So it
Okay,
just depending on the numbers you have, and we can accommodate any size.
sure. I mean, that's a really good number, up to 300. And I mean, I mean, I'm sure there's bigger and there's obviously much smaller, but that's a really good size of a venue you have there. Now, not only is it flexible on space and amounts of people, what's it like now as a rental center? So tell us a little bit more about what makes your rental supplies different than some of the other companies here locally in Winnipeg.
Well, so beautiful. We offer luxurious rentals. So
Wow.
basically, when we started this whole wedding events and planning, we've been thinking about, my husband and I have been thinking about how do we make things less expensive, less stressful, and how do we get right not to run around the whole city. So we decided to offer a one-stop shop where
Amazing.
as in you can rent all your items from us, you can
Yeah.
use our venues, and we can offer you our event management services and also our event decoration services. And
Beautiful.
also, I recently also became an officiant, so I can also officiate your wedding as well.
Okay. So wait a second. You can officiate it, you can
Yeah,
host it, you
yeah,
can rent it, you can
yeah.
plan it, and you also bring in counseling and money management skills to it.
That's right. Yes,
Wow, that is a one-stop shop when it comes to event planning,
yes.
and that's what really intrigued me. I got to be honest, Helen. I love and I'm so passionate about your story, about being a refugee, coming to one of the coldest places in Canada, setting roots, and getting to this level is to me very, very special. And I don't want to cut it short on the event planning because I know you're so passionate about it. You told me that out of all the different businesses that you guys offer, you said, Stephen, the one I'd love to talk about is event planning and management. And so
Yeah.
I appreciate that very much. But there's something also very special about you, Helen, and I've got to get that out, or I wouldn't be doing myself justice, or you.
Mhm.
And so before I do that, where does Ozanna, the name, come from?
Ozanna. It's a beautiful combinations of my two children's names. So my
Aw,
first daughter, her name is Overcomer Hallelujah, and my second daughter is Privileged Hosanna. So I was trying to merge Overcomer and Hosanna together, and it became Ozanna.
nice.
Yeah.
And so now let's just talk about this. I'm going to figure out how I can share my screen with your foundation.
Mhm.
Okay, so to me, that's really big. Let's just talk about that for a second. Um, your foundation, the Ozanna Foundation,
Mhm.
you name the foundation after your kids. So that's really cool to begin with. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you shared that with us. Thank you for that. And what is your foundation?
So the foundation was basically created based on my experiences, what
Yeah.
I've seen as a kid,
Mhm.
and the war experience that I've been through.
Okay.
And the main purpose is to basically help children. You know, I believe strongly, like I said from the beginning, I was really glad and still glad that the Canadian government brought my mom and I and my siblings to Canada.
Right.
But there are still other people that need the same help that we got. And
Okay.
there is no voice for these people, which are orphans. These people can travel, these children can travel to Canada because they don't have a parent that they're going to accompany it with. So the
Mhm.
foundation started based on how I've seen when there is poverty, what happens, and there are certain people that no one is looking after. So I decided first we started up as a summer program. So we do summer programs during the summer period. So it runs from July to August. And
Mhm.
then we started helping out some charities in Africa. So whereas in, and this whole thing started with my funding, my husband and I only. So we will help out children. Basically, when I first started the summer program, I'll pick them up from their houses, drop them to the program, provide lunch and snacks for them, do all the programs together, take them on field trips because I drive school buses. So I usually would go out and get the bus rented. This year, we're hoping to buy one so that it will be easier to transport back and forth and go to field trips. But basically, the foundation is just for me to be able, and every one of us to be able to help children and families, because I believe a strong family that is experiencing genuine love from each other would be able to
Mhm.
raise a better generation for our future. And
Amazing.
children are the most important part of our future. If these children grew up in good homes with good parents, whether foster or adopted or real parents, if we all grew and raised children in the right way, our future for tomorrow will be better. We,
Okay. So my tagline that I've been working with and living by for so long is
Mhm.
I believe it's everyone's duty and our focus to build a better tomorrow today.
Yes.
And I just heard you almost mirror that tagline I like to use and my focus. But I
Mhm.
want to point something else out here. So you're a mother,
Yeah.
event planner,
Mhm.
event coordinator,
Yes.
event management. You rent products. You
Yes.
have venues that you rent out.
Yes.
You founded a foundation to better and build a better tomorrow for children in need.
Mhm.
You offer a summer program.
Mhm.
And did I hear you also say you're a bus driver picking up kids?
Yes.
What don't you do, Helen? You
Well,
know,
yeah.
like that's very special. And
Yeah.
the summer camp programming, the
Mhm.
counseling, the family empowerment and the resettlement.
Yeah.
I feel so passionately
Mhm.
that that needs to have another story. We're gonna do this again, okay,
Yeah.
in the future. And I'm gonna dig deeper into the foundation. I know that we spent some time on your
Mhm.
passion,
Yeah.
your business. I love the fact that you shared some of those stories with us to really, that's what this is about. I don't do these shows to try to swell my head. I don't try to do these shows to be famous.
Mhm.
I only do these shows to let people hear about incredible stories like yours, and yours is one of a kind. Now, if somebody wants to get hold of you or the Ozanna Foundation,
Yeah.
you can easily go to the ozannafoundation.org. That's the website.
Mhm.
You can contact Helen and their team at 204 887 5023. Now, that is the component about the Ozanna Foundation. Um, that's a story in depth. Again, let's talk a little bit more about that and see how many kids we can bring from Africa and put them into -40 weather in Corner Portage in Maine. That's a great trip. And you know, I
Mhm.
only kid, but I love hearing stories about helping kids. And
Mhm.
war is such a difficult subject to talk about, walk
Yeah.
around, and even navigate through, and just in
Mhm.
conversation. To imagine what it must be like, you can, but I don't think anybody watching the show likely can. If there is somebody who can, it's very few in the world can relate to what it is that you've gone through, and the
Mhm.
fact that you've gone through it, you've prospered, you've done so well that I can't think of a better person to start a foundation like this. And if memory serves me correct, before I move on, this is a nonprofit status foundation right now, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So anyone who wants to help or get involved again, check
Mhm.
out the ozannafoundation.org, the website, or call Helen personally at 204 887 5023. Okay, so on to different subjects. You got
Mhm.
a birthday coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's the age you're turning? Do you want to give that out, or is that a secret?
Oh no, I am turning 35 years old,
Oh,
and my birthday is physically dedicated to support and hoping for everyone donations to the foundation. So
amazing.
basically, that's the whole purpose of the birthday, just for us to be able to raise some funds for the foundation for our summer program and be able to get that school bus we need.
That's beautiful. And don't forget, as I pointed out, um, she's also a driver of that bus.
Yeah.
So anyone, that's one thing I guess I really want to shed a little bit of respect on as well. It's not, again, just, sorry, I'm struggling with my screen here for the moment. It's not just a matter of running a business, being a business owner, management, money management, all of this. Do you ever sleep?
Yeah. Well, the best part of this whole business is God and my husband. With my
Beautiful.
husband beside me, he has helped me so much. He's also a counselor because he studies social work in school. He's a bodybuilder. We have a gym that he runs. So um, we have worked so well together that we're both our therapy. So when we need to get away from everything, all we need is both of us because I'm so comfortable and loved by him. I've experienced like a child growing up with all the hardship I've been through. I always prayed one thing to God, and I've always told God, I want to be loved, and I want the man in my life that would truly and genuinely love me. And so when he came with all of the beautiful love he has shown me, I do know there is God that answers prayers. And I do understand for a fact that love is real because he has supported me in every way possible. And
Beautiful.
so I just enjoy his company. So when I want to relax, he's my relaxed buddy. So we have
And he's
that.
also one of the pipes to protect you too, right?
Yes. And that's right. His muscles are my pillows. So I just, sleep on that. Yes.
Okay. Well, you know what? These are just beautiful stories. I appreciate it very much. Now, your number's a little bit different for anybody who's looking to hold an event. If you're looking for counseling, and I don't mean like criminal counseling or mental trauma counseling, or maybe you need money management, but I'm talking about counseling on preparation for
Yes.
your events. If you've got an event, wanting to do an event, planning an event, I highly suggest you contact Helen right now at 204-887-5023. You not only have the support of her, you have the support of her entire family and community behind her. You've got some of the best locations in the city to hold your event. You have every type of luxury and rental possible for your event. You have the most incredible Rolodex of supporting vendors. You've got passion, you got love, and you got every single thing you could ever need when it comes to event management planning to events, period. I highly encourage you to reach out. Again, one more time, that's Ozanna.ca. We know that's the mixture of both of her daughters' names into one. That's how it all started. Beautiful name, Ozanna.ca. Helen at OzannaEventRentals.com. One last time, 204-887-5023. Helen, thank you for taking the time. That was 38 minutes of you sharing your personal story with us. I really appreciate it. I love the fact that you are who you are and what you do in our community. I believe that you have made a difference in so many people's lives, including your own and all your families around you and the community around you. This is a better world in place with Helen Salako in it, and it's been my pleasure. And we are going to do this again because I want to dig a little bit deeper in some of your other businesses, your husband's business, your moving business, and all these different things that you're doing. You are an entrepreneur, you are a leader, and as you can see here on the screen, you are building a better tomorrow today. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Hang off in that in the studio room for just a minute, and we're going to wrap things up for today. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So as I say, building a better tomorrow today, you cannot even think about it, do it, act it, whatever the case. Helen lives and breathes it daily. And again, appreciate her very much. If you want to comment, if you want to be on the show, you want to learn more information, you want to reach out to me personally, best way, call me 204-894-7477. That is our office line. You can reach me at realtorschoiceproducts@gmail.com. Of course, check us out at realtorschoicenetwork.com or our rcnexperts.com websites. We appreciate you watching. I love hearing the feedback about the shows. I love having our guests. One more time, a special thanks to the Silver Heights Restaurant for sponsoring our show. Again, if you're looking for a restaurant, a caterer, if you're looking for a bar, you're looking for that place to call home where you're comfortable and where everyone knows your name, Silver Heights Restaurant and my family are there for you. Thank you. That's the end of today's show. I look forward to our next show. Today is May 29th, 2024. Thanks again. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.